or either a product, channel, something that we had to address that we were going to make sure that all the organizations had some sort of plan that supported our overall theme. For example, for managed print services, I mentioned this a few minutes ago. That's really taking over a print fleet or a document management fleet for a company. And completely different than the way we've done things in the past. No longer do people buy equipment, they just use the equipment. And we manage it for them. So wherever they print stuff, whether it's on one of our devices or somebody else's device, they pay for every time they print, but we then manage that for them. That required us, we have a partnership with HP and Lexmark, because they have a lot of equipment out there. And so we have to learn how to service and provide consumable supplies and manage a fleet of not just our equipment. Completely different way to run our business. What we're in, this putting ink on paper business, which is a majority of our revenue, is a flat declining business. Managed print services is growing about 30 to 40% a year. It's currently about a little between 5 and 10% of the market, and probably in 5 years it will be over half the market. So we have to be successful. We have to learn how to do this better. And so a lot of our initiatives are around managed print. And that means a lot of things to the supply chain organization. So although we have the supply chain and the transformation of it is one of our key themes, I'm also participating in what we're doing to drive our managed print service business from the operational supply chain perspective as well. Because each one of the major themes will have all of the functional organizations are required to participate in order for us to be successful. We all have to align properly. And again, this also has to align with our sister companies in Asia and to Europe, and so there's a major component in this alignment throughout the enterprise. I talked about why did we have to get into some of this supply chain transformation. These are the acquisitions. Each one of those little blue or gray dots is an acquisition in the last 15 years or so, and the blue ones are people that formerly did business with Toshiba. The gray ones are people that were not partners or someone that had done business with Toshiba in the past. So what did we get when we bought these companies? We've got different systems, different processes, and a lot of different ways that they run their business. And so we had to take this entire operation and figure out how to make it look like one. Not from a customer perspective. We wanted to keep very close to the customer, so a lot of these organizations could be in a market area. One of those may have been in Biloxi, Mississippi, and where we have a very good, strong presence there that we wanted to keep that close contact with the customer so it cannot, from a corporate perspective, sort of take over. So we had to keep a very entrepreneurial team out there, but start building some processes that would better support them. A couple of the acquisitions, one of them was Mexico, Puerto Rico, there's Brazil on here, that were some of the acquisitions of partners down there. Again, completely different ways to integrate what they do into our overall supply chain process. So the goal out of all this was to then create a competitive advantage in this organization because a lot of these competed against small businesses out there, so we had to give them the ability to be close to the customer, but the strength of, we like to say, local presence, global control was sort of the way we wanted to address the marketplace here, so that we could give them, hopefully, give them the best of both worlds. Another part of the process was that was what caused it. Then we started getting into our analyze. So how are we going to analyze this is our supply chain pipeline. Going back to the far left is a supplier that's typically in China, one of our Chinese suppliers, where our manufacturing, most of our manufacturing is done in China, some of Malaysia, some of Singapore. But we have to get back into our supplier network, back in what we're trying to do. And you see it go all the way to the end customer. In the middle, you see we have a U.S. manufacturing operation in South Dakota as well, so we had to figure out how to integrate that into the overall process. So this was one of our maps. Okay, let's look at our value chain, the whole chain that we have here, And let's identify, and you'll see if you look at some of the bullets up here, areas where we have need for strengthening, a project, an initiative, a change, and what we're trying to do, and then use this as one of our templates. And when we did this analysis, we did it based upon, what provides the most value to our customer, customer cost, asset risk, where do we want to focus our efforts? And so each one of these is a different project, right? You'll see demand planning up there is one of the ones that we're just rolling out right now. So this started a couple years ago, and it still takes a little bit of time to go through this entire process. The first step in all of this that occurred was, that occurred in all of this was to the first step to take place in all of this was to make sure that we were all integrated in what we're trying to accomplish. This is another map of our optimum. This is again part of the data that we tried to pull together to make sure that we were analyzing our overall supply chain better. We modeled this out using some modeling software, some statistical analysis to say what's the market variability, what's our supplier variability, and where do we need to be. We wanted to set up targets in advance where we needed to go after the transformation took place, so we could always shoot towards our target and goal. And one of the things we would do when we looked at this is say, all right, well, we have too much in our pipeline, too little in our pipeline at this time. So we then say, well, what do we do to address that portion of the pipeline? Better planning, faster trains, ships, whatever the heck it might be, in order to improve the overall pipeline that we're trying to address. So we create our optimal models based on the overall supply chain. We did it based on our strategic plan, and we used this as our template. And then wanted to make sure that we address our customer support levels, our customer service levels, while at the same time lowering our assets in the pipeline and our asset risk. And so this is just has to be one of the ways that we look at our overall pipeline. These are some of the initiatives. And again, these all then should support back to the overall either supply chain transformation or one of the other major themes or strategic themes that we have. And you can see there are a number of activities that took place, and some of these are, say, why did you choose this one in year one versus this project in year two? Some of it had to do with our system capabilities and what we could do at the time. Some of it had to do just the length of our rollout schedule. We had so many independent groups out there that we had to integrate together that was very time-consuming to deliver some of them. But once we got our basic structure, in place in the first year, we then looked at some of the things we wanted to do in year two that most of them which are now completed. Just this year in 2012, supply chain and supply chain transformation is not one of the major strategic themes, but we're involved in every other strategic theme on our strategy, because we did most of these over the last 2.5 years to try to reset our overall supply chain. A couple of interesting ones that you all know, conveyor systems, drop ship processes, virtual distribution partners, and I mentioned that moving into managed print services, had to develop a new set of suppliers, and was not going to bring that product into my warehouse. Didn't want to do it. Wanted to establish a relationship, electronic relationship with a number of our partners, and so we probably have 6 or 7 virtual relationships with various partners, so we can act to our customer base like we're all one entity, but I'm using my partners for a good bit of my overall value. We're in the process right now just finishing up our demand planning application with Oracle Demantra. And what is different in this maybe is that we have it linked to our CRM system, which is Salesforce.com, and into our leasing or financial system. And so all that data is going into Demantra. It's important for us on the opportunity side that we get a lot of good data in order to improve our overall demand plan back to our manufacturing operation in China. When you're spending 25, 30 days on the water in process, you need really good data. So every sales rep, now 500 and some sales reps we have their opportunity data that then loads into our forecast. And they don't like it, but we're doing it. We're measuring the sales reps on how accurate they are forecasting. And just like all sales reps, some are sandbaggers, some are opportunity-driven folks, right? So after a while, you start measuring them. We are starting to see improvement in some of the forecasting based upon the fact that they know we are measuring them. And in fact, this morning we got a notice that we had a sort of a bluebird. A customer comes in out of nowhere, many hundreds of units, something that we hadn't planned for, didn't know anything about it. No one buys that much equipment without knowing anything about it. So we're going back to them saying, well, you better tell your customer you're not going to get it right away because you didn't forecast it properly. And we'll take care of it. But we're trying to push this process into the overall supply chain. This is just another one of the projects we modeled out using IDEO's iLog process. This is just purely for consumables, like coders and stuff, staples and stuff like that for or paper for barcode scanners, stuff like that. We modeled it out using a couple years of data, so that let's optimize what it is to a distribution network that we should do. After we did that, we then created our plans to then use this to be our primary model that we're going to drive to. And then we had to roll it out. As we did it, we had to add different geographies into our overall distribution network, and that's what you see at the lower side. So we had to roll it out to each individual market. But this is one of the activities that were on the overall integrated value chain process. The net result, right? Everyone wants to see what the results were. The top left is DOIs, days on hand inventory. That's our inventory level. And you can see they're down about, and that's actually a smaller snapshot. It's down about 45% when we started our field-based inventory. So that's fairly significant improvement for us by moving to more of a shared distribution model for this one particular project. Also on the lower left-hand side, first call effectiveness, that's our service delivery.